In chapter 3, we looked at sunlight, which brings visible light, infrared, and UV, and we focused on the UV, the ultraviolet. Well, now we're going to focus on the infrared, the IR, or the heat that sunlight brings. So it's sun's radiation down to one that is called the greenhouse effect, that is natural. But global warming is technically an enhanced greenhouse effect. It's beyond what's natural. So we'll get into the reasons why. It's always chemistry is behind it. And then the question is, do you believe it? So not everyone does. Not all scientists do. Well, maybe 99% of scientists. And definitely not all politicians and not all citizens. So is it a real problem or is it just fake news? We will show the data that there are both warming and cooling effects that need to be factored into calculations about temperature changes and temperature changes around the world, and including climate change. So as far as climate change, the questions are, what can we expect in the next 50 years and beyond?
Our world is getting warmer. Since 1975, the average global temperature on Earth has increased at a rate of 0.2 degrees Celsius per decade. This world map shows the difference in average global temperature since 1885. Notice how dramatic the warming has occurred over the past decade. In fact, temperatures over most of the Earth's surface have exceeded the average global temperature by as much as 2 to 2.5 degrees Celsius. With such a dramatic temperature increase over such a short time frame, where will that leave us over the next few decades? Will the surge of extreme weather patterns become the norm for our planet? Although few people disagree about increasing global temperature, it is still controversial whether this is warming due to natural variability or man-made activities. So, do you believe that climate change is happening? Is this due to man-made actions?
I would say no, because I have no first-hand experience. Events like Hurricane Katrina or the earthquake in Haiti are just part of our Earth's natural cycle.
Yeah, climate change is real. If you look over the data of the past 50 years, then you look at the temperatures rising in the atmosphere, I would have to say that climate change is real.
I haven't really noticed a difference in my life, so I'd have to say no. It just kind of seems like media hype.
In this chapter, we will present data and chemistry to help you make an informed decision about the accuracy of what you hear in the news.
So in this week's discussion, you'll be given a video prompt and then add your own opinion of what you think about global warming. The question of, is it real? Is global warming real? Has our climate really changed in the past 50 years? Well, the thing is, we have to talk about climate separate from weather. So weather it changes every day and it's dependent on your location. And that is different from climate. So that's one thing that people sometimes overlook. Like, well, it doesn't seem any warmer. It's always warm in LA. But we're talking about a large scale range of data that covers centuries and thousands and 10,000s of years when we're talking about temperatures in climate. Okay, so a single day is weather, but climate is a much bigger picture. So temperature, that changes day to day. That's weather, it's local. But climate, much longer periods of time. And we're talking about going back to ice ages when we had this type of glacier. Just 50 years later, no longer as much of a glacier as it was, more mountain than ice. So this, between temperature and a lot of data we're going to look at with glaciers, snow, we will first temperature. This is in this circle, all of the countries in the world, over 200 countries, and their relative to average temperature in a single year either being higher than or lower than the average. So higher than the average are yellow, orange, and red. Lower than the average are blue, purple. And so this is from 1900 to 2016 for all the countries in the world. The temperature average, and this is sped up. So you can see there's a lot more orange and yellow. It's different for all the countries, but overall, where we started off yellow and blue, now we're going into orange and red, and red, and red, and red, and more red. And what it means is that we have higher temperatures in every country on average every single year since.
What are the reasons for increased temperatures? Well, chemistry plays an important role. We can't see the reactions or the compounds causing these problems, so there is a tendency towards disbelief because we can't see that. But since we're chemistry students, we will be able to see that. So the chemical reactions that cause global warming and leads to climate change, which really leads to everything change, understanding those underlying chemical reactions is a very good start for understanding climate change. Long-term effects, heat waves will be more common, forest fires, drought, glaciers melting, sea level rise, intense weather like hurricanes,